I don't know if the glue that they are putting your eyelashes on is seeping into your brain, but you are an idiot. You just beheaded that guy? You're supposed to give head, not behead. Remember January 6th? That was the day that I had just switched over. I'd been doing eggs with olive oil, and I switched back to real butter that morning. And then I was watching TV, and people were freaking out because a few people with a Lego set or something showed up at the Capitol. Anyway, let's talk about boner pills for a minute, and then we'll move on the other side. Sydney Sweeney's bathwater here. That's pretty good. Good day, mate. I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It is here in Melbourne, Australia, October 17th, although back in America right now, it's October 16th, although you in America will be watching this on your October 17th. If that makes sense to you, pretty good. Our show in Melbourne is tomorrow, as we tape this now, 2 days from when you're watching this. There are a couple tickets left, daverubin.com/events, and then we will be off to Sydney and Brisbane and a couple other stops on the way. And today's show is going to continue a theme. Oh, I should mention, it's been great so far. Had kangaroo last night. I ate kangaroo last time I was here, which was about 7 years ago with Jordan Peterson. I played with kangaroos, did not eat kangaroos. Somehow I ate kangaroo last night. Basically tastes like steak. Yeah, I felt a little guilty after, but I did it. Had a little Vegemite this morning. I'm not going to comment on what I thought that tasted like until I leave the country, just to make sure I can get out okay. And yeah, we got a great show for you today, which is basically about the continuing descent of the left into madness, framed around this Mamdani guy, because New York City is just going all in on this stuff. You know, a lot of us, we sort of thought wokeness was destroyed after Trump won the election, but it really has recalibrated into something that is in some sense much more dangerous, because now it really is just full-blown communism. Wokeness was the way, really, that communism with a dash of jihad has really entered the system. And I thought we would start with this meme, which we often reference here on the show, which of course is that hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. That is going to frame it for us today, and let us start with Zohran Mamdani and what is about to happen in New York City. They actually let him on Fox News, which is interesting because Fox is always willing to interview all of the crazy lefties. The MSNBCs and CNNs usually sandbag the Republicans when they come on, or don't put them on at all, or don't even put on the right-leaning pundits, right? That's why Scott Jennings is making headlines all the time, because he's the same guy over there. They don't even put on other people. In any event, he went on Fox. Mamdani goes into the building, went on Martha MacCallum's show. I did her show a couple of weeks ago. She's quite a good, I actually consider her a journalist. She's a good TV broadcaster. She's very, very fair. They got into it about a bunch of things. We're going to show you a couple clips here. But here it starts with Martha asking him about the highest tax rates and what that might do if you start losing some of the rich people.
So a lot of individuals in this city pay more than 50% of their income in taxes. When you talk about a fair share, how much more than, what is the fair share? What's the number?
I've said that we should increase personal income taxes by 2%.
Is fair?
And my point is this.
Give up more than half of your income. That's
if you're making $1 million in New York City, or more than that, you can afford to pay 2% more. And the reasons you can afford to do so is because that money will be used to better your quality of life as well.
Yeah.
Because when I speak to the wealthiest New Yorkers, I hear concerns about the cleanliness of the city, the quality of life in the city, questions of public safety. This money is the money that will be used to deliver on those things so that we can ensure that we have a return on investment for all of the money that we are raising and spending.
All right. So we're going to show you a couple of clips of him today, and I just want to say that this guy is evil. This is the evil designed to destroy the United States of America, and it is here, and it is exactly what, as I said yesterday, Ronald Reagan said 40 plus years ago. When socialism comes to America, it's going to come with the smile. I get it. His suit fits. The beard's nice and trim. All of the stuff with his commercials, with the lo-fi music and the soft lighting, like, I get they have created a package here, but what is in that package, so the exterior of the package, the wrapping looks pretty good, right? And it all sounds right, everything he says. But as everything goes with progressives, once you open up that package, I always talk about the thin veneer and what's underneath is very nasty. When you open up this beautiful communist package he's trying to give you, what you are going to find inside is a hot, steaming pile of bullshit. Okay, so you can increase taxes just 2% on those people. First off, the fair share thing, the phrase fair share, this is a Bernie thing. They should pay their fair share. Fair share. Who decides what is fair? Oh, if you have over 50% of someone else's money, is that fair? And by the way, Mamdani, because these notions of, I just need a little bit more, I need 2% more so I can do this, that, and the other thing. Okay, well, that's what you've decided is the fair share. But guess what, buddy? The way this thing works is there's going to be someone more radical behind you, and they're going to go, well, I want 4% more, 6% more. That's really fair. It's why when they say minimum wage, so one guy comes in and it should be a $12 minimum wage, and then the next radical comes in and says $15 minimum wage, and then it's like, well, why not 25? Why not 50? What is fair? So they take a concept and an amorphous term and they use it for their advantage, but all he really is saying is we just want more of those people's money. And the other thing is their answer to everything is always, we just need more money. It's never about how things can be more efficient. It's never about creating competition so prices actually go down and the level of service actually goes up, right? Everything is just, we just need more money because what they want actually is more control over you. It continued.
City's already in debt. The governor says no to new taxes. Like Margaret Thatcher said, socialism's great until you run out of everyone else's money, other people's money.
Well, what Andrew Cuomo said is that if he had $959 million, he'd give it to Elon Musk in tax credits because that's exactly what he did. And I bring that up to you to say that it's often a question of whether you have the willingness to spend that money to benefit working class people, not where that money is in the first place.
So what would you cut?
Oh, it's whether you have the willingness to better people's lives. Again, it's just thin, meaningless drivel. He just wants more money, more control, more power. And then as the people with money, because the services will not get better, the safety will not get better, et cetera, as they flee, there will be less of a base to take that money from. And then the answer will be, well, we better take more from the remaining people because there's less of them to take from. I wish Martha she's a fine broadcaster. I wish she would have followed up and said, thank you for explaining that about Cuomo and Elon tax breaks and blah, blah, blah. By the way, we can talk about tax breaks and tax benefits and all of those things, except someone like Elon, when he gets a tax break, or any corporation gets a tax break to come into a state, it's because they are going to generate revenue. They are going to bring employees in. Those employees then pay taxes to the state. They buy homes, they rent homes, they purchase things, they go out to dinner, et cetera, et cetera. So you can make a total argument that the government shouldn't give tax breaks for corporations, but the idea of the tax break or a tax credit, let's say, is that it's going to incentivize business to come, and that actually helps everything. But of course, he doesn't really understand that. I wish Martha would have followed up and said, okay, thank you for explaining that, but can you just comment on the Margaret Thatcher quote, because you're going to run out of other people's money. This I thought was really interesting. This is from an ex-user, Ever Intrigued, and it explains a lot of what's going on here in a very granular way. So Zohran's logic is upside down. The New York City budget is $112 billion. His proposals are over $10 billion in new spending. Free buses cost $800 million a year. Public grocery stores cost $1.2 billion to start and $400 million per year to maintain. Rent freeze and subsidies cost $3 to $4 billion per year. City-run childcare costs $2 billion per year. Expanded social programs cost $2 billion or more. This means nearly 10% of New York City's entire budget is gone before fixing the MTA or police overtime. And his favorite target, corporate tax credits, aren't cash handouts. The city only loses that revenue if the company actually invests and hires. So he's raging at conditional incentives while pushing unfunded permanent costs. Math says one builds jobs, the other builds debt. It's really interesting when you think about what these communists, again, with a dash of jihad, are actually doing. Now, does Zohran, what if we could really get in his mind Does he think these programs will work? Does he think that if we could just squeeze people a little bit more and get a little more free stuff for people, that it will work? Can he look at anywhere in world history where that really worked? Has he ever done it before? Has he built anything? And the answer to all of those questions is obviously no. So then the next question you have to ask yourself is, so what is this guy really trying to do? If the math is all just made up and it's really just to centralize his power, and we know that the result of it, like, this is a far gone conclusion. The result of it is going to destroy New York City. Why does he want to do it? And I would say this is where the dash of jihad comes in. They want to destroy the once great center of capitalism of the world, New York City. And when it is destroyed, then they will say, you need us even more. They will use the failures to prove in their mind that capitalism failed, even though it will be their communism and Marxism and socialism that caused the failure. One more with Martha MacCallum. She just tries to give him a softball here. Basically, can you condemn Hamas? And watch this.
Do you believe that Hamas should lay down their weapons and leave the leadership in Gaza?
I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we have to ensure that there is peace. And that is the future that we have to fight for.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, that applies to the Israeli military, applies to anyone you could ask me about.
Okay, so look, first off, on the international law thing, I've said this before. The fact that you have someone coming in to be the mayor of New York City, which it won't be soon enough, but has been really the center of the entire world, and he says that you have to abide by international law, is completely insane. That is actually utterly disqualifying. When you are sworn in as a public servant in the United States of America, you swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. International law is nothing. I am not bound, whether I'm here in Australia or where I'm back home in the United States, bound by international law, and either are you. There's no such thing as international law. It's a globalist concoction that designed to basically destroy the nation state. So him saying, I will abide by international law, that literally should be disqualifying. But this is just kind of where we're at in 2025 in these blue run cities. So good luck with all that. That's number one. Number two, she asked him, should Hamas lay down their weapons and get out of the picture? And he says, well, New York City should be affordable. Okay, thank you. The fact that he can't just say that he can't just say, yeah, Hamas should lay down their weapons. Now, ironically, he might want them to lay down their weapons if he purportedly cares about the Palestinians, because now that Israel has left Gaza, they're killing dozens and dozens of Palestinians and calling them collaborators and all sorts of other things. But we know that the entire Palestinian movement obviously doesn't care about the Gazans. They want to destroy the Jews. That is how it works. But anyway, if you are, I will say this every day that we cover him until he becomes mayor, if you are a sane person of means and you care about your family and you care about safety and you care about liberty and all of those things, you should leave. And doubly so if you're a Jew. Get the fuck out of Dodge now. Interestingly, though, he won't say that Hamas should lay down their weapons, but he did tweet this about you in 2022. We need to ban all guns. So if you're an American who is bound by the Constitution, and if you know a little something about the Second Amendment, which guarantees the right to bear arms and protect your family and protect your property, et cetera, he'll take your guns away. But he doesn't have the bravery to say that a terrorist organization that killed over 1,000 people in one day and beheaded people and raped people and murdered babies and killed at least 47 Americans, he just doesn't have the balls to say they should put their guns down. Do you think there's a problem here? Do you think? Like, come on. So as we started the show today, which way do you want to go, Western man? And you have to decide that. And people, by the way, are deciding that. That's why people are fleeing blue cities and they're moving to red states. Here's Karoline Leavitt on the type of people that the Democrats often are associating themselves with.
If you hate our country, if you are inciting violence, if you are siding with terrorists, we have revoked the visas of pro-Hamas individuals in our country who are engaging in some of the campus shutdowns and locking down American universities. We are not going to tolerate illegal behavior. We're not going to allow you to side with assassins and terrorists. Having a visa to this country is a privilege. It is not a right. And if you are wishing death upon America, you won't be welcome here anymore.
Yeah, like that's basic stuff. I'm here in Australia. What do you think would happen if after this we walk outside and we start screaming that Australia should be destroyed or that we are supporters of a terrorist group that should take out Victoria, et cetera, et cetera? They would likely arrest us and deport us. And that's exactly what they should do. So if you come to the United States, it is a privilege, not a right, as she pointed out. But the Democrats are always defending the bad guys, right? You do something wrong. You're an illegal and you're a child trafficker and you rape somebody and I don't know, you hit your wife with the boot, they're going to defend you. You get exported for that. You get expelled from that. They are going to then follow you up and go there and have margaritas with you in El Salvador. We know about all of this stuff. So now back to Zohran for a second, because what Leavitt just laid out there, it's just basic, simple truth that any other nation would any nation that doesn't want to fall on the sword and commit hara-kiri would realize. Here is Zohran explaining that free buses somehow will basically stop crime.
I think it's one of the key reasons why we have to make buses free is because it reduces the assaults on bus drivers. It creates a safer work environment.
Oh, free buses will stop the assaults on bus drivers because there's a lot of people getting on buses that can't afford and then they just assault bus drivers. First off, there's no evidence of that. Has that probably ever happened? Someone like just doesn't have the $250 or whatever it is to get on the bus, so then they attack the bus driver. Like, you're probably not going to get where you need to go if you do that. But has that probably happened? Yes. But interestingly, you remember, of course, the Irina Zarutska, who was the Ukrainian refugee who got killed on the light rail in Charlotte. Listen to this from Coco, an ex-user. DeCarlos Brown, who killed Irina Zarutska, did not pay the light rail fee. If we make the bus free, it will only make crimes worse. The idea that the bad guys are going to abide by things. So let's say you make the buses free, so anyone can just hop on and off. Well, first off, think about it. You're also going to increase homelessness because of your communist policies. It gets pretty cold in New York in the winter. I used to live there, and homeless people used to, you know what they would do to stay warm? They used to literally sit on the grates where the steam was coming up from the subways to stay warm. They were basically steaming themselves to stay warm outside. Now, you might say that's terrible and whatever, but that's what they did. But now if you say to them, okay, buses are free, all of the stuff to get around the city is free, do you know where they're going to go? Buses have heat. They're all going to be on the buses. And what do you think that is going to do for crime? So every single thing that these people do, it sounds right. Free buses, I like free things, that'll stop crime, will actually make things worse. But when you are being raped by a homeless man who smells like urine on a bus, at least you will be able to say, well, he got on for free. I'm such a good, tolerant progressive. I thought this was a great tweet. This is by a guy who I follow by the name of Jason Howerton. He wrote, "Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent." And that, I think, perfectly sums up where the Democrats are at the moment. They are constantly defending the bad guys, never defending you, the good guy. And it's not even good guy. You, the sane person who just wants to be left alone. They are never interested in you unless they want to take your shit. Then they're really all about you. But otherwise, they never want to do anything for you. And not even that I need the government to do anything for me. I need it to not actively try to destroy my life. That's why I live in Florida, not New York. But let's just do one more with Zohran because it is all packaged. And you've got to give credit where credit is due. He is a creation of the 2025 internet and virality and lo-fi music and soft lens and all of those things. Here he is with a new ad that is Survivor themed, and you'll see just there's nothing underneath, but look at the just slick production perfection.
Andrew, New Yorkers want a mayor who will make groceries and childcare affordable, not sell us out to their billionaire donors.
A mayor that'll make buses fast and free, not defund the MTA.
Andrew, you're scheming with Donald Trump.
We're voting you off the island
and back to the suburbs.
We're with Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani. He'll stand up to Trump, freeze the rent, and deliver universal childcare.
We're going to build a city where no one has to struggle to survive.
Paid for by Zohran for NYC.
Didn't we already vote you out?
First off, what is their inability to ever show you a person who can get a boner? I'm not saying getting a boner should be the most important thing in political elections, but it probably does fall in the top 10 because of that strong man, weak man thing that we keep talking about. Who are all of these asexual freaks? But you can understand why these people end up voting for someone that promised them a lot of shit because they can't do anything themselves. So if you are weak and pathetic and unable to have autonomy or refuse to have autonomy over your own life, I suppose all of this does make sense. But I will golf clap you, man. I really will. You are selling a package of BS, and an awful lot of people are going to do it unless we have the political miracle of all times via Andrew Cuomo, who killed all the old people during COVID, or Curtis Sliwa, who's got the funny little hat, but actually does love New York. And I wish he was getting a little more attention. It is what it is. Let's talk about balance of nature, and then more on the other side. If you're looking for an easy way to get more fruits and vegetables into your day, Balance of Nature fruit and veggie supplements can make it simple. Each capsule contains the natural goodness of 16 whole fruits and 15 vegetables, all freeze-dried, lab-tested, and made without binders, fillers, or flow agents. It's 100% whole food ingredients, just as nature intended. You can take the capsules with water, chew them, or open them up and mix the powder into your food or drinks. However you use them, they deliver the original balance of color, taste, and smell straight from real fruits and vegetables. Balance of Nature is all about making good nutrition convenient so you can get the benefits of whole foods wherever you go. Right now, when you visit balanceofnature.com, you'll get a free fiber and spice supplement plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer when you use code Rubin at checkout. That's balanceofnature.com, code Rubin. Okay, so strong men create good times, weak men create bad times. Let's keep going with that theme. Listen to this from Libs of TikTok. Breaking: Kendra Briggs, a Biden-appointed judge, gives no jail time to the teens responsible for brutally attacking Doge employee Big Balls. The teens were instead only sentenced to probation. Judge Briggs stated that her goal is to rehabilitate, not to punish. You all remember the story of Big Balls. He was one of the Doge kids. Well, we've got an image of him here. They kicked the crap, that's her, that's the judge, and that's Big Balls, and they kicked the crap out of this poor kid in D.C. He was just walking around and saw a bunch of hooligans basically approaching a girl, got involved. They kicked the crap out of him, and she, I guess, has decided to rehabilitate them. And once again, I mean, this is just so consistent with all these videos we've been showing you over the last couple weeks. What do Democrats want to do? They never want to put bad guys in jail, never want to punish the bad guys. They want to figure out, was he hungry and that's why he had to rape somebody? Did he get molested and that's why he had to murder that family of 4? We're such nice people. Insane. Absolutely insane. Elon commented on it. He said, this was a racist verdict by a racist judge. The simple test is to apply if the races had been reversed, the white kids would be in prison, equal justice for all. So yes, it happened to be a bunch of black kids that attacked this white kid. And we all know if that image right there, maybe we could do it maybe we'll AI it. If that kid, Big Balls, had been black with those exact same injuries and all the kids who attacked him had been white, cities would be burning down. We all know it. Barack Obama and the Democrats, the rest of the Democrats would all be saying, this could be my son, and this is the proof of systemic racism, blah, 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 blah. But in this case, we just want to rehabilitate. Could you kids just stop kicking the shit out of white people? Couldn't you just do that? Are you hungry? Do you want some soup? Here's Donald Trump on this ridiculous verdict.
Because you have these radical left judges that they beat the hell out of this guy. And there was many people against this one guy who was really trying to protect his girlfriend. He didn't want his hooded over the door but they really beat him up badly. That just happened, right? Yes. Wow, that's terrible. I think the judge should be ashamed of himself. That's a big problem. You know, they can do their job and then they go into a court and the people are protected by these, I don't know where they come from. Where do these people come from? Where do the judges come from? These are rough guys and they're young. And if that happens, they're going to grow up. They're going to be real bad. They're going to cause a lot of problems. Yeah, please.
Yeah, he's right. It's obvious. We all know it. And I do want to connect this to something that actually happened in Florida, because Florida does it right, but it doesn't mean we don't have the occasional activist lunatic judge who does the exact same things that we become accustomed to in blue states. This is at Orange County, Florida. This is video of how a rapist by the name of Jacoby Tillman was freed on $9,500 bail.
Sir, I want you to listen up.
Yes, ma'am.
You got an atrocious record. Right. These charges are violent in nature.
Despite his criminal history, Jacoby Tillman was granted a $9,500 bond and released from jail this weekend. He's accused of trying to rape a woman on the Little Econ Greenway Trail this summer. The Orange County Sheriff's Office released this surveillance video shortly after the attack in July. Tillman was just arrested this month on charges of attempted sexual battery, strangulation, and false imprisonment.
What bothers the court in setting bond in this case is that, he's got some violent offenses and a violent history, and these are violent offenses. But nonetheless, I think that the bonds is set.
We've been looking into Tillman's record, too, and found out he was also arrested after grabbing a woman in the same area 3 years ago.
Oh, so grabbing a woman in the same area, attempted strangulation, violent history. I believe the judge said atrocious, actually. But then, of course, okay, buddy, maybe you were hungry, so you had to rape that girl. $9,500. That judge is evil. You are evil. If that guy goes out, and he likely will, because we know the rates of recidivism, that guy will likely go out there and do this again. Oh, $9,500. I get to rape somebody? That's pretty good, Insane. And I do want to cover one little story. I just want to at least mention this at the moment, because one of the things when we showed up in Melbourne was that a few people made jokes to us, like, watch out for the machetes. And I actually wasn't exactly sure what they were talking about. But there has been a rash of gang violence here. It's large. It's a little unclear what it is. It's a little bit of gang violence. It sounds like a lot of it is second generation legal immigrants. So it's the children of people who legally immigrated here to Australia. A lot of them are here in Melbourne. And there's been a ton of machete violence, just attacking people with big ass machetes. Listen to this from the Victoria State government website, because this is what they decided to do. It is now illegal to own, use, carry, transport, sell, and buy machetes in Victoria unless you are covered by an exemption or valid approval. Possession without exemption or valid approval can lead to up to 2 years in prison or a fine of more than $47,000. So I don't want to comment too far on this. I'm going to talk to a couple of journalists and some Australian senators about it so I can find out a little bit more. But this is the type of thing. Instead of dealing with what the real problem is, right, which is what Democrats are constantly doing, instead, why do people rape? Why is there so much crime? Why is there so much homeless? Blah, blah, blah. Then they'd have to look in the mirror and see it themselves. What are we going to do? We're going to ban guns. That's what we do from an American perspective. Or in the UK, we're going to ban knives. Or we're here in Australia where we are right now, we're going to ban machetes. And there's an awful lot of other types of knives that you can stab people with. And that's never dealing with the problem. It's always dealing with the symptom. So thus, we end up in a situation like this. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. Let's talk about Noble Gold, and we will continue. Gold has officially gone mainstream. You're seeing it everywhere, and prices just keep climbing. Every day, more and more Americans are discovering the power of gold. But how do you actually take advantage of it? How do you invest in a way that's safe, simple, and built for the long run? That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. Their specialists are trained to help advisors like you go from confused to confident, from wondering what's next to knowing exactly what to do. Whether you're looking to roll over an old 401k into a gold IRA, or you want physical coins and bars delivered right to your home, Noble Gold makes the process simple, secure, and stress-free. You'll get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and U.S.-based service from a trusted team that's handled over $2.5 billion in precious metal transactions. With Noble Gold Investments, protecting and growing your wealth isn't just their job, it's their commitment. Visit DaveRubinGold.com today to claim your free wealth protection kit. That's DaveRubinGold.com. Noble Gold, helping you build a stronger future. Okay, so I am here in Australia, where their government seems to be functioning, and our government back home apparently is still shut down. I, again, say the same thing I said the day it shut down, which is don't threaten me with a good time. I don't know what you guys do. I think we're going to be okay without you, but a certain amount of people want the government to work. So CNN did a town hall with two radical leftist nutbags, Bernie Sanders and AOC. And here they are talking about the shutdown and that what this is really about. This is not what they're supposed to say, but it's really about just beating Trump.
My American dream has turned into a nightmare. My family was only days away from closing on a USDA loan for our dream home. Then came news of the shutdown, and now we face uncertainty. Our lease is up, and now we have to move. The shutdown is costing us our chance to live our dream. What are you doing to end this stalemate and help restore faith in our elected officials, the people I helped to choose to guard my American dream?
We're going to do everything that we can to bring an end to this terrible shutdown, which is hurting you and which is hurting 1 million federal employees and millions of people who use federal services. But also, we have got to be cognizant that if Trump wins this fight, our healthcare system could well collapse.
Okay. First off, you have a lovely woman who just wants her business to be okay and get whatever services she wants out of the government and everything else. So obviously I'm being a little glib when I say the government does nothing. This person obviously thinks that there's some value in some of that. And of course, there is some value in the federal government, I suppose, at some level. So what are you going to do about it, Bernie? We're going to do everything we can. So thank you for that meaningless comment. And then what does he really say? But we must stop Trump because it will collapse healthcare. And he's going to go, we're going to show you a couple other clips. He's going to go even more alarmist than that. So might I say, if you guys really care about the American people, Bernie and AOC, how about you try this? And I'm pretty sure you'll get the government open tomorrow. And there's nothing you people love more than big government. How about you just stop asking for illegals to get health coverage? Could you do that? You keep pretending it's not in the bill. We keep showing you that it is in the bill. Could you just do that? But of course they can't. And then this really was the most telling part of the entire segment that they did, the entire town hall that they did, because Caitlin Collins, not the WNBA All-Star who's getting the shit kicked out of her by Black Losbos all the time, just the CNN host. She asks if this is really about AOC, who may mount a Senate assault on Chuck Schumer, and watch their response. And like, this is such an obvious, when you see someone's body language and laughter and over the top response, you know that every single thing both of them are saying is a lie.
Are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
All right.
No.
Let me jump in on this one. This is what we're
talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about.
You have a country that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, massive income and wealth inequality, a corrupt campaign finance system, and the media says, "Oh, you're going to run. What are you going to run for?" Nobody cares. She'll run more trucks.
Nobody cares.
I will bet you all watching this a hot lunch that AOC is mounting a Senate campaign against Schumer. It's obvious. People are talking about it. We know it's going to happen. And you can see there with the fact that they both got so emotional at once. He got angry. She started laughing in a giddy way. No, of course they're going to do it. And that is what this is about, because they don't care about helping people. What they care about is attaining power. And then, of course, Bernie has to just ramp up the fear. We have a housing crisis. We have a health crisis. We have an education crisis. Okay. To whatever extent any of that is true. So do we have a housing crisis? There is a housing problem because interest rates are so high, people can't afford to get in. So talk to the Fed, not Trump, right? The Fed won't lower interest rates. That's one thing. A healthcare crisis. Okay. Well, how about you stop giving our resources to illegals? That might deal with it a little bit. And an education crisis. Well, it's because state-run education has created a generation of retards who vote for people like you. And that's how I feel about that. Here's Speaker Mike Johnson on AOC's little gimmick.
I didn't see it. Many of you saw it. CNN hosts the first socialist town hall where Bernie Sanders and AOC said the quiet parts out loud. They don't know what they want to end the shutdown. They couldn't provide a single viable solution for the mess that they themselves have gleefully created. And by the way, those are the real leaders of the Democrat Party. We all know it. AOC and Bernie. Good luck with that. And amid all that, Chuck Schumer is actually bragging that every day gets better for his party. As you know, that is his words, not ours. All this would be laughable if it didn't come at the cost of American families.
So again, look, I'm actually not so convinced we need any of these people in our lives. A government shutdown and the million people who work in the government, I think we're going to see, and this is what a bit of what Trump is doing right now. We're seeing, okay, well, if we don't have a functional federal government, which we haven't had for 2 weeks right now, and we furloughed all these people, how many of these people actually have jobs worth having in the first place? And if we can get rid of them, right? So in some sense, this is like Doge on, it's like a live experiment of Doge. Oh, we're going to push people out of their jobs who in essence are non-essential anyway, which is why things are still working for the most part. And we will see, do they deserve to have those jobs in the first place? But Johnson is right. And you can see there's a certain calmness to what he's saying, because he's saying, look, the loony Dems have ransacked the party. Schumer's obviously not in charge. AOC damn well is running against him, obviously. And more people are waking up to their utter drivel. However, I will give the devil his due here, and I will be fair to both sides. Both sides are not great, and both sides have people that are way too old to still be involved in all of this. This video, you may have seen this already, it is from the Capitol, and here's 83-year-old Mitch McConnell being asked some questions about ICE. It's a Democrat or progressive activist asking him the questions, and she's really getting in his face. But look at the frailty. He falls. You can see he's unable to respond afterwards. And it's just like, why are these people still in government?
Working people off the streets and kidnapping them?
Okay, so what you can hear there is the cameraman for that girl that's asking the question about ICE. The cameraman's laughing, and surprise, he heard himself there laughing. That doesn't surprise me, I suppose. But this guy's 83 years old. Even before he fell, he's walking while someone's holding him. That's very reminiscent of what was going on with Biden. They pick him up, and then he looks at the camera and he mumbles something, can't even speak. I mean, what is going on here? What is going on here? We really have to think about it. We all made the jokes or the commentary on Biden, and the same exact thing is happening with one of the most powerful Republicans in the Senate. That is probably a bit of a problem. Let's jump over to a sane Democrat, right? So I just criticized an old school Republican. Well, here's one sane Democrat, and since there's only one, you already know who I'm talking about. Yes, it is John Fetterman. He was part of a NewsNation town hall, and here's what a sane Democrat should sound like right now.
I'm the only Democrat in my family. I grew up in a conservative part of Pennsylvania, and I grew up and I know and I love people that voted for President Trump. But they are not fascists. They're not Nazis. They're not trying to destroy the Constitution and those things. And that's part of another thing. I refuse to call people Nazis or fascists, or I would never compare anybody to Hitler and those things. And now that kinds of extreme rhetoric is going to continue. We're going to be more likely in resulting in extreme kind of outcomes and political violence. And now people have forgotten. President Trump was in my state, was shot in the head. And if that could you imagine where our nation would be if he was hit in the same way with Kirk? We really got to turn the temperature down.
Well, John Fetterman, it's probably getting lonely where you are because, yeah, you're not about demonizing all of us. You have some positions that are outside of progressive groupthink. Like, you're on your way out with the party, but don't take my word for it. Take the party's word for it. Listen to this from Eric Daughtry. Breaking: Democrats are plotting a primary challenge against Senator John Fetterman in his coming re-election per Axios. Imagine that. Make my day. Run a leftist in Pennsylvania, Democrats. Good Republican opportunity for a pickup in 2028. And here's the quote. Some Democratic officials are openly contemplating running against Fetterman or keeping the door open to a Senate bid in the event he retires. Fetterman votes with Schumer basically every single time. All he's done is say Trump ending wars is good and that all MAGA are not fascist. Right. That's all he's done. Well, he's been pro-Israel, which the Democrat Party is completely against at this point because they are for terror, and they are for our enemies, and they are not for America or Western values. And he basically refuses to demonize MAGA. So they are going to run the AOC Bernie wing. They only want people who will live on their knees, and they will run someone against him. Now, interestingly, in Pennsylvania, it probably won't work because Pennsylvania itself is not that radical. I saw a poll yesterday that Josh Shapiro, who's a Democrat, who is not a complete lunatic, he's not great, but he's not a complete psycho progressive, that he's up 36 points in his approval rating. So he's doing okay there by not pandering completely to the progressives, and Fetterman kind of fits within that. So good luck to the radicals on that one. Here's Stephen A. Smith on the same town hall talking about the shutdown and how ridiculous it is that the politicians who shut down, they get their check, but the people who are doing the work, who are temporarily furloughed, they're not getting anything.
We're listening to this kind of stuff while a young man walked up to the microphone and said that he had to leave here to go and work on DoorDash to help pay for his daughter's tuition. Meanwhile, everybody up here getting paid. But he ain't. A government shutdown is going on right now. A man has to work on DoorDash when he's really an air traffic controller. That we applauded, and we're up here talking about how much some money is going to cost, and the only person that don't have a check coming is him. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a break.
I'm going to take a break. I thought he was going to say, I'm going to pay for his daughter's tuition or something. Stephen A., you did just sign a $100 million deal. Throw the guy a little something. But he, of course, is completely right up there. How about this? How about going forward after this shutdown? Because this thing will end. The furloughed people will get paid and all of that. That's how it works every single time. Everyone gets very upset, and then the same exact result happens every time, and that's what will happen here. How about going forward after this? If any politician signs on to a government shutdown, they do not get paid. But not only do not get paid during the shutdown, they don't get back pay, because again, what happens is these people, they get furloughed. It's temporarily pushed off, and then when the deal is made, they all get the money back. Now, I still have sympathy for the guy who's an air traffic controller who has to work, for DoorDash or whatever. But yeah, the politicians that vote for the shutdown, if there was anyone non-essential that's working in America today, it's likely a politician. So how about you guys actually have a little bit of pain when you do this sort of thing? Now, interestingly, despite everything that we've said here, Kalshi, which runs all of these polls and basically does the guesswork on who's going to win things in the future. Look at this. I mean, this is, I guess, surprising, but in some sense not. According to Kalshi right now, the Democrats have a 59% chance of getting back the House next year, and the Republicans only a 41% chance. Now, you might be watching that and going, holy shit, like how is that possible? How are so many people buying into the Democrat nonsense? Well, first off, I would say a lot of people are brainwashed and confused, but you have to remember, it is an off-year election, and almost always during off-year elections, whoever is in control, usually meaning in control of the White House, their party gets crushed in the middle because because basically we've created a cult of personality around the presidency that if you have the presidency, that means you're in charge of absolutely everything. And that's largely because Congress is just useless. So usually the sitting president's party gets crushed in the midterms. That will be really, really bad if that happens now. That will put this Democrat lunacy at scale. So let's just hope Kalshi is off on that one. Let's talk about Cove Pure for a moment, and then more when we get back. You might not realize it, but over 70% of the U.S. population has fluoride added to their water supply, and many people are starting to think more carefully about what's in the water they drink every day. If you want more control over what goes into your body, Cove Pure makes it easy. It's a countertop water purifier that uses a 4-stage filtration system to remove fluoride, forever chemicals, pesticides, heavy metals, and other contaminants. Its ClearWave technology is lab certified to remove up to 99% of impurities, giving you the purest water possible. The water tastes amazing, and you can get it hot, cold, or warm instantly. There's no plumbing or installation required. Just fill it up, plug it in, and you're good to go. Because you're a listener of this show, you get $200 off when you go to covepure.com/Rubin. That's COVEPURE.com/Rubin. So the theme has been, which way, Western man? Do you want big government? Do you want people to tell you things are free while they steal things out of the back? Or do you want a little skin in the game? Do you want a little autonomy over your life? Do you want to participate in democracy? Do you want to be part of the great thing that America has been for all of these years? Well, that will be up to you. Here's Donald Trump explaining that he's actually trying to do some good things. So hopefully what I just mentioned about call sheet doesn't come to pass. This is Truth Social, Donald Trump. I have just concluded my telephone conversation with President Vladimir Putin of Russia, and it was a very productive one. President Putin congratulated me and the United States on the great accomplishment of peace in the Middle East, something that he said had been dreamed of for centuries. I actually believe that the success in the Middle East will help in our negotiation and attaining an end to the war in Russia-Ukraine. President Putin thanked the First Lady Melania for involvement with children. He was very appreciative and said this will continue. We also spent a great deal of time talking about trade between Russia and the United States when the war with Ukraine is over. At the conclusion of the call, we agreed that there will be a meeting of our high-level advisors next week. The United States initial meeting will be led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, together with various other people to be designated. A meeting location is to be determined. President Putin and I will then meet in an agreed-upon location, Budapest, Hungary, to see if we can bring this inglorious war between Russia and Ukraine to an end. President Zelensky and I will be meeting in the Oval Office tomorrow, where we will discuss my conversation with President Putin and much more. I believe great progress was made on today's telephone conversation. So again, leading through strength, exactly what we did in the Middle East, the United States leaning into the world again, not saying, oh my God, we can't do anything. We have no moral authority. Whether we like it or not, and I happen to like it, we are the last remaining superpower. Someone's going to lead the world. It may as well be us. And yeah, we are basically the last force for good. When we have a good leader. We didn't have it with AutoPen. We have it right now. And then Putin can look and go, boy, look what Trump just pulled off in the Middle East. Maybe there is an out for me here, because does Putin want to be in perpetual war either? Even if he is winning, right? Whatever that means in his mind. Does he want this perpetual war to go on forever? Or does he realize if we wrap this thing up, if we take a couple territorial gains, but we don't get everything we wanted, but then we'll have better trade deals with the U.S. We'll be welcomed back into the international community. It's like, this is what strength actually is. And before we wrap, I want to contrast that with what weakness is, because what weakness is what the man who could be, in some alternate universe, the VP right now, Tim Walz. And in 2023, here's Tim Walz signing a driver's licenses for all bill.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
And you might go, well, Dave, what does that have to do with Trump and everything else? Well, it turns out that a weak man like Tim Walz, driver's licenses for all. Well, it turns out that Minnesota election officials are now confirming that illegals who got those driver's licenses for all, yeah, guess what they're doing? Voting. So for the last 3 years, when Elon and many others said, why are the Democrats importing all these people? They're doing it to replace the base as black people and other minorities break away from the Democrat Party. They need to bring in new voters. Well, it turns out that that is exactly what has happened. So one more time, guys, what happens here? Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. We have got work to do. All right, we got a full day here. I'm interviewing some senators from Australia. We're getting out and about. We're probably eat some more. You can't eat koala, can you? We can. Well, they do have chlamydia, so that's. We'll stick with the kangaroo for now and see what happens. Okay, no post-game show. See you tomorrow.
Instead of talking about having air that's drinkable,